Okay,
Hey,
let's
Ada.
just. Hi. Hi.
Hi, it's Kiran, Manisha, and I are here.
Oh, hi,
Hi.
guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Great. Yeah, so maybe we can just start. Since I think some of them, I think we can just go ahead and update those tickets. Um, I just want to wrap up the current spring, and first thing I think we did quite well. We closed out quite a bunch of tickets. Thank you, everyone. Um, so there's one ticket that I think we looked at it last night about programming the CDM screening form, and he has a question that um, is likely to require quite a bit of testing. But I do believe that actually Lawrence did some testing a few times to verify that the content and the logic both work correctly in as well as the locations and the provider as well. Um, Simon, is it correct? Simon? Hey Simon, I don't think your mic is working, or maybe I don't think you're on mute, but I'm not sure.
I see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can hear you.
what I was saying is that Lawrence did the testing. Um, so he mentioned that he was still going to do further testing with the users.
Okay, so maybe it's on the testing side then.
Yeah.
Okay, great. The other tickets, I think they still in progress. The app for stop doesn't stop the mUzima app. Um, I think Kieran just because he just joined the team last week. I think he just started looking on this one. Probably um, need a little bit more time on this one. Is it correct?
Yeah, I'm still working on that. Sorry, I didn't get time to finish it. I'll try to finish it tomorrow.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's understandable because you just start and there's a lot of setup and also try to probably read some documentation and things like that.
Thanks.
Thanks. Another one, updated dispensary encounter form. Simon, do you want to share the update?
Yeah. This one I'm still working on together with the health center form. I just raised a few issues which I think they should be addressed before we can conclude the work on this form. It's almost complete except for once these issues are resolved where the grouping of concepts doesn't seem correct if you confirm with the forms server. So once this is resolved, I will provide the form for test by Lawrence and Tom. And then from there, I think we can move forward to code review.
Okay, cool. And probably the same for the health center form, maybe.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
Yeah, although on the health center, the same issues I've raised on the dispensary form, on the health center form,
Uh-huh.
the grouping of concepts. But I believe if it's resolved on the dispensary form, then the same on the health center form would be resolved. So it's actually the same thing.
Okay, the same type of issues. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Um, I think the other two tickets on hold because they rely on another ticket. 57 is on hold because of 269, so we'll continue to put that on hold because there's a dependency. For 54, I think that we agreed that this is just too massive for serving such a small percent of chances of happening. So after today's spring, we're going to put it on hold. We will not put it on the next spring. That's pretty much for those. Okay. So I think now probably is a good time to do like a retrospective review. Just everyone should share what we have done right for this sprint and what we could have improved for this sprint. So feel free to share. So anything that we have done right and things that we could have done we could have done better from this sprint.
I don't know if this is relevant for the current sprint, but we updated the developer guide as per the issues that we found.
Karen, can you repeat that one?
So Kiran and Manisha actually use the mUzima developer guide to set up their machines, and it looks like some parts of the document are not updated according
It's
to changes.
outdated.
Yes, it has been a little outdated. So Kiran has made all the changes, and it should work for everyone now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, I think it's a good thing that you found like it's outdated and then help with updating it, and it's going to be like a living documentation, so it requires like constant update. Yeah, this is exactly right. I think we could have done better on that one.
So, so I don't know if this is the right place to bring this up, but one thing we realized while setting up our machines was that the unit tests were failing on several repositories. So when we were building, we didn't realize that the setup was not completing because of the failing tests. So it took us a while to realize that it's stopping halfway, and then we had to skip the tests and then complete the installation. So it's not a good practice to have these tests, failing tests.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to we're still brainstorming amongst ourselves, but we're thinking of ways in which we can avoid having these failing tests. So we'll get back to you more on that. But I think that is one thing we need to address.
Yeah, so feel free to create a ticket for this. I think this is a great suggestion as well. Feel free to create a ticket so that we don't forget about this one. And you can worry about putting in the content, like in the exact content later on. I think that will be really helpful for doing the testing.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
So, Archana, I just have a question for Archana. I think she used the developer guide as well. Vikas must have shared it with her. Did you run into any issues when you were setting up the machine?
Um, which setup guide, Shweta?
The
Are you
mUzima developer guide? The
for the fingerprint one, which I have written?
no, not that one. Let me
Oh,
just look.
yeah, yeah. I think I got few problems, but I have also documented them in the setup guide for fingerprint as part of troubleshooting section.
Okay, okay, great.
So
Just
I think I covered whatever problems I got. I have covered them.
okay, great. Just wanted to check if you ran into the same issues as well, or is it something specific to our setup?
Okay, all right.
Thanks.
How about you, Simon? Do you have any feedback?
Yeah, I think we are on track. We've not done so badly, but maybe just to point out the speed. Last time we talked about the speed of doing things, and I think this time round, especially from my side, I've taken longer to complete on my assignments. Well, particularly because of some activities that came up the other week, a lot of meetings. So I think on my side, that's something I could improve on. And of course, I believe with the entire team, when Vikas left, I think there was some time we lost. So probably in future, maybe we can do things a little bit faster. Yeah.
And Simon, Derek, do you have anything to comment?
Not really much from my side. Maybe just to thank the whole team for their efforts. And still ask them that we each and every project like this way feel like maybe the timelines of most of the projects to like do reporting is almost due. But so far, I've not had any complaints from any team. That means we are on track. Only maybe challenges from the LAC side since most of the CHWs out there in the field are being involved in the Ministry of Government or in the Ministry of Health for doing other activities in malaria studies and etc. That's why we're having a laggishness in rollout. But we hope as days goes by, things gonna work. Possibly, as Rotich had sent up a mail, maybe by the end of this month, they'll be free to for us to go back on rollout. Yeah, that's all from my side.
So I have a general question for everyone. Do you feel like when you ask a question, you get the information in a timely manner, or you still feel like it takes a little bit of time for you to get the information or answer that you need in order to move forward? Do you feel like the lag time between asking question and the information available is getting better or still not good enough? Is silence? I don't know. Is a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, okay. I think it depends who you're asking the question, because some users respond quickly, others take long to respond. Okay, my experience with the forms, I think I've raised a few questions here and there. What I saw that some of the users are still not used to responding on the ticket. Some will respond over mail, and therefore you have either to copy the communication to the ticket for documentation. So maybe it would be important to let the other users know, maybe those who are doing testing or those who are supposed to do clarifications, to understand why we are doing it via tickets and also why we need it in a timely manner.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because if we don't get the clarification in a timely manner, it's kind of delay the process of development as well. So that's why I'm trying to push the turnaround time to be as short as possible. But sometimes I think people are away or did not check their mail and things like that. It causes or they just thought maybe I will get to it later, but then they forgot to get into it. I think the assignee for the tickets, feel free to ping again if you don't get your information answer, like more than 24 hours. Feel free to ping again, because the chances like people just simply forgot to get back to the questions.
Sure.
Cool. So any other suggestions about how we can have done we could have done better? Okay. If that's the case, I think we can wrap up the current spring, and then we should do the next set of I think we agree that we do like a 2-week spring and then a 1-week sprint. Now the question is for you guys that now we have 4 tickets, and then one of them is a little bit like a bigger ticket, 2 of them a little bit bigger tickets, because it requires lots of updates of the forms. How many additional points or tickets that you guys want to include for the next sprint? Also, we just go through just groom the potential tickets first and assign the points before we decide which ones should be included or not.
Ida, I think I've been, I just picked up. Are you saying from the current sprint, the ones that are not complete? If you wanted,
Yeah, for example, like this is the current sprint. So like when you look at in progress column, we have 4 tickets.
right.
Yeah.
So
So
I just picked up mUzima 270, which is display the mUzima form template.
uh-huh.
I think it's a three-pointer, but I was just looking at the code. Right now, we don't have. I think we have to make some changes. Um, Even at the database level, we have to add this new column to capture the form template. So I think it's not a three-point story. I would
Mm-hmm.
give it and make it a five, please. And this maybe after the sprint call, I will
Excuse
put
me.
a detailed comment on the steps that are going to be needed to complete this JIRA. And
Okay.
also, I want to understand like sometimes the queue data runs into multiple pages. So in that case, how should the sorting work? Should I by default say sort by newest form first? And then if the person says I want to see on another sort order, you want to apply it across all the pages, right?
So I think would be nice to have kind of like the filter of sorting as the column header, so that the user can say, "Oh, I'm only interested in filtering out, let's say that only the screening form, any error that with screening form." So the request actually is from Lawrence. Original request is from Lawrence. What When you look at the current UI, I think maybe it's good to look at the current UI. There's not really that much helpful information to tell which one is which.
Right.
And
So you want the form template name, correct?
yeah, so when you look at here, I think, I don't even think like the error message and form data here is really helpful for these two columns. Um,
Right.
and I don't know if you guys still want to keep um, the kind and the JSON and kind of things like that. For the data manager who review all these error forms, I'm not sure like it's helpful information for them. It might be helpful information just for the developers to look, oh, what type of forms have that problem, or things like that. But as a data manager reviewing all this information, I think it would be helpful to have pretty much like this page. I think probably need to be totally like redo. Win, I don't know if you have like a strong feeling of against this suggestion. So what I have in mind is that the name, because the name of the form template would be more like human readable. Maybe it should be like the name of the form templates submitted on, and then like additional information that you guys want to feel like is helpful to display on this page.
I think it's going to be more on the user side. I mean, from developer perspective, we try to create some useful screen, but
Mm-hmm.
um, but we probably didn't understand about the user's needs. So what kind of information will be useful?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for now, I think for example, like the sender, if all of the form is coming from the same type of sender for now, I think we can remove that column, for example. And then, I don't know if submitted on and processed on information will be helpful as well. Maybe just um, we don't need the submitted on, or we probably don't need the form data or more clear error message probably.
Yeah, because I don't feel like as a user it's really helpful information, and you cannot really see it
Yeah.
anyway. So Shweta, how about we'll ask Lawrence just to give us some suggestion what actually he has in mind, because I think this is really for him and his team mostly to use it.
I agree.
Yeah. So like I think it requires more than just what he said, or just the name of the form template. I think it's required more than that. More changes than that.
Okay. So yes, I mean, if we could talk to him and just see how what information that he needs to see, because in the Jira he clearly mentions that I want to be able to search based on the forms that I am interested in, and I'm not sure like how there may be different teams who are working on certain error data, or maybe you're assigned to certain kinds of error data. So yeah, it totally depends on how he would see the best way to see how he can go about resolving the errors.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
depending on how he uses it every day, I think he's the best person to ask. I agree.
Yeah. So what I guess is that because the reason he's bringing it up was since they need to know which forms for each team responsible for which form data. Hey, Lawrence, is that okay? Hey, Simon, do you want to explain to Lawrence a little bit, and then so that he can share with us?
Yeah, I think he's had your comments and Sweeters about the UI and his requirement with the user interface, the error resolution user interface. Because ideally, Lawrence, what you are trying to say is that we need to make the interface more useful to you as users and not to us, the developers. So we probably might have ignored the fact that you are the guys who are going to be using the interface. So maybe if you can just clarify what issue you had with this interface.
Oh, first, sorry, I'm late.
It's okay.
So under the column of kind, like the most obvious issue I think I picked out was under kind, instead of having JSON encounter, would be nice to have like the form name, the exact form name, like if it belongs to CDM, and I don't know, maybe the version. Then the submitted on and processed on, I think are also important. It's good to know like when these forms came in. And then the other thing I realized that I do not know how we can work around that is if a patient is first registered and then an encounter is filled out, we realize those are two very different encounters, and we first have to resolve the registration form and then move to the encounter. And especially if it's a universal ID thing, I don't know. This sounds like it's more of going to be tracking these IDs manually, the UUID maybe to know that this registration form belongs to this encounter form. So I don't know if there's a way that can be tweaked to have like a registration form of the same patient tagged to the same patient. I don't know if that can happen on the interface, or I don't know if it's going to, that would happen at this stage on the UI.
So Lawrence, I think from the way you're describing you're using this user interface, you'll just see all of the error data and you do it one by one, right? Like right now you don't know to who each of these forms, which patient it belongs to.
Yes.
So you just don't care. You're just treating it as like a list of forms, and you're going to process them one by one.
Yes.
Okay. So in that way, I think the only way to actually make that connection that these JSON encounter forms, they're related to a registration form which also has an error. So first I have to fix the error in the registration form and then come back to the JSON encounter form. You want that connectivity, right?
Exactly.
So so let's say that on this main page here, what helpful information that you think don't worry about what's on this page right now, Lawrence. What you think that it should be on this page? The name of the font.
Yeah, name of the form, and with a search area on top of that form, I believe that would allow us to be able to search by form type, I believe.
So
And
so how about
all,
would you think it would be even more helpful to do filter?
yes, filtering actually would be better, would be a better option.
The name of the form, and then what else do you think is helpful to have?
And then also, is it possible to have almost like the provider either provider ID or the provider name, if that's possible, because I believe, like from my experience, there are quite a few errors that might require us to call these providers for verification of some information that may have caused the error.
Yeah, that can be done, Lawrence. The only thing we have to keep in mind is if we have too many columns, the page is going to look very cluttered and it's not going to be easy to use. So I think, but again, you're the best person and you're using this, seeing this page every day and working with it. So maybe let us know what are the really key things that will help and how you want the search and what fields you likely would be using to search or filter things, and then we can make the changes accordingly. And if you find that there are some things that are absolutely not useful for you, we can remove that.
Yeah, and I was thinking when I mentioned like the provider ID or the person who sent the form should appear, it would make more sense to. I don't know what the thinking was behind having the column of sender, which reads mobile device, because I don't know if that's very useful to us at this point, unless there was a different thinking when we had that put there. But if that can be replaced by the provider name or list, that would be great.
Lawrence, how about you spend a little bit time to think about which one are Amos, and then give us like a few suggestions in order, and then we can revisit this topic and then decide how we list them.
Okay.
Thanks.
How about
Go ahead, Nick.
my suggestion would be the first one, we remove the sender, and then probably change the error message into number of error inside the form. For example, oh, this form have like 2 error, and then we remove the form data altogether because it's not helpful. And then on the above this one, we'll have a section where you can search, and then the search section will have this the search bar, the search input, just the way we have it right now, and then we also have the date range, so you can filter, for example, oh, this month you have so and so message coming in, and then additional filter will be by type or by the name of the form.
Win, how about the question that Lauren has earlier? They must resolve the registration form before the corresponding JSON encounter form. Do you have any suggestion for that one?
You're saying display the JSON encounter registration form first?
So let's say that kind of like tie them together. I guess what is it? I think that's what Lauren's suggesting, like, so that they know they need to resolve this registration form because it's tied to, this particular JSON encounter form. Because without processing the first one correctly, and then the other one is kind of dependent on the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So especially for errors, the similar type of error, let's say that the provider not found in the system or incorrect provider, so they know that, hey, when I update the registration form, I can update the same information for the corresponding JSON encounter form.
Oh, I think to do that, we need to. The only link that they have would be the patient UUID inside the. So the registration form and the encounter form should have the same UUID if that's the case.
Yeah, the 10 patient UID one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we probably need to think about that, whether we have a separate column for like patient or person UUID inside this form data, or we do a database search inside the form data field and use that for ordering. I don't think it's possible using database.
Yeah.
It could be possible using to sort it inside the Java side.
My question is that once the registration form got corrected and reprocessed and created the patient record in the database, and then where is this temp patient UID? Because it's supposed to be replaced by the permanent one, right? So how can we link that back to the corresponding JSON form?
It will be linked by registration. If you look at the registration module, you will see the temporary UUID is mapped to assigned UUID.
Okay.
Vin, I'm sorry, can you just explain that part again? Oh, okay, I'm just making. So is it, let's say I registered a new patient and they have a temporary ID assigned to them. And they have a temporary ID assigned to them. Which is the one that I'll be, and after that I fill out two encounter forms. What is the ID of the patient on the encounter form? Is it the temporary UUID or the assigned UUID?
So because when you register a patient in the device, on the subsequent, so for example, so the use case is like this. So you create a patient locally in your device, and then you will get a patient, and then now you can start creating encounter for that patient. So that's why when you create a patient, the patient will get assigned a temporary UUID, and then this temporary UUID will will be used to create the encounter. And then when you submit the form data to the server, the form, the registration form will get processed first, and then the mapping between the temporary UUID assigned on the device will be created with the actual UUID used inside OpenMRS database. So you have a mapping between your temporary UUID and to your actual UUID stored in OpenMRS database. And then when you create new encounter, even though the UUID used to create the encounter is the temporary one, the server side can find this mapping between the temporary UUID and the actual UUID and then create the encounter for that patient.
Okay, but okay, the question I have now is that for the very first time I'm registering a new patient, on the device the patient gets assigned a temporary UUID.
Correct.
This is the same temporary UUID that is also there on all further encounter forms. And once it gets submitted to the server, there is some kind of association made between this temporary ID that was generated on the device and the actual or the assigned UUID that is given to the patient on the server.
Yes.
Now let's say that there's no errors in the registration form, so the patient gets saved, right?
Yeah.
At that time, we discard this temporary UUID and only use assigned UUID after that, or is that still there? Like, I'm just wondering how temporary is this temporary UUID?
So the temporary UUID will always be inside the form data that you submit with the registration form, because you need to create the association between the patient and the encounter, and the link is this temporary UUID. What's supposed to happen is when you resync the patient for the cohort, it should be replacing the temporary patient record in your phone with the actual patient that gets created in the server. So now when we replace this temporary patient, we remove the temporary UUID. We don't use the temporary UUID anymore. We have the actual patient with the actual UUID inside OpenMRS. So now, when you create the new patient, you're using the actual UUID to create the encounter. But for an encounter that's still attached to the temporary UUID, it will be able to get submitted to the server and processed normally because we have the mapping between the temporary UUID with the actual UUID. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Yeah, thank you. It does make more sense now.
Yeah. So
Win, I always forget about this temp UUID and assigned UUID pair. Is it correct that they will stay there for this mapping? They will not disappear. Is it correct? So
yes,
one is okay.
they
I
will
just
not
want. Yeah,
disappear.
this is the one that I always get. I always forgot. Yeah, for some reason I have the wrong concept. I just thought that once they resolve, they will be gone.
No, in the server side it will always be there, but on the phone side it should be replaced. The sync process must replace the temporary patient with the actual patient. I mean, if we don't replace it and we use the temporary UUID, there will not be a problem as long as the registration form get processed on the first place.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So this
on
is
the
the.
okay, go
I
ahead.
can walk through the code. So the code should be doing similar to this. So when you process the encounter, it will first check if the UUID for this new encounter is there or not. And then we'll try to find the actual patient using the UUID inside the encounter form data. If we cannot find it, then search it inside our registration record. This is the part where we search for the patient if you have the UUID inside the form data, which you must have it. I mean, so you will have search for the patient using the UUID, or if we cannot find it, then search inside our registration record. So that's the process of resolving patient inside the encounter form. Any question?
So it sounds like the only reason we continue to maintain on the server side, let me clarify, on the server side, we continue to maintain this link between the temporary UUID and the assigned UUID is in case there are any forms that are still being tracked using the temporary UUID, they should still be able to be processed.
Correct.
But once it's successfully processed and everything is updated on the database and the device gets synced to the server again, the temporary UUID should not be, if it's done right, the way the code is now, it should not be
Yeah,
used and it should use assigned UUID henceforth.
correct. So I think this is the problem showed by either Root or Robai on Friday. So you have so we have the uh, temporary patient locally on the device, and then Root or Robai, instead of syncing the cohort, which contains the process of replacing this temporary patient with the actual patient, I think she used the download patient, which will not do the replace. The replace. I mean, maybe we should be doing that. So when you download the patient again on the server side, we should say, oh, this is the um, temporary patient, and then we should replace this local patient with the one coming from the server. That is the reason that we have duplicate um, patient from, because
Yeah, it
the
showed
one
the
from
both temporary and
registration.
the updated one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So when are you suggesting that we modify download, search and download a patient in such a way that if we find the same, if we find the temporary ID exists, then we just replace it with the new assigned UUID for that patient. If you're speaking or on mute, when
oh, sorry. Yeah, I think so. I think we should update that process.
cool.
Yeah, we probably should document this. Um, registration process, uh, the handling process somewhere in there.
What did you say, Wayne?
I think we should document the process of converting this
Okay.
temporary one.
Yeah, I think that one. I know myself. I asked more than 3 times already. And I understood, and then later I just go back to the wrong concept again. Yeah, I think we do have it on the wiki. I think, but it's probably not very clear. Let me go back and revise that one.
Cool.
So we only have like 10 minutes left, and I just want to do something really quick on assigning points for the new sets of the tickets.
Yeah, just one quick thing. I'm sorry
Sure.
for the changes in that error page. We just by talking about all the changes that are going to happen, I feel we should break it up into two smaller tickets. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe ticket just to say that we change what we're actually showing the user,
Mm-hmm.
like whatever we're removing columns and we're adding new ones which are more relevant and more useful for them. That could be tracked as one ticket, and maybe adding filters should be tracked as another ticket because I think it's going to change. But that's just a suggestion. If everyone is okay with that, then I think it'll be more clear.
So yeah, so what I have in mind is that I would even move that ticket to a later time for next spring, not the next week instead of like this week spring, since it takes a little bit time to spec it out first. And then we have plenty to do from the backlog and also a couple more like simple tasks for this week. So I agree with you as well that.
Sure, thanks.
So let me do a screen sharing. One second. Sorry.
Should we point the next screen or?
Yes, Wayne. Yeah, can you guys see this one now? 232. So this one is pretty much done. It just need to code review, I think.
Because we can't see.
You can ask me?
No, I can't see this. Now we can. Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll
now.
probably delay it. So this one, I think the work has been completed. It just require code review. So how many points you guys want this one?
I think it should account for all the work and then the potential work that's still needed. I mean, the work seems to be pretty much done, so it should be just all the work.
So how many points? I think Sweden did this one.
Just with us judgment then.
Yeah, download location list to local report. Sweden, how many points do you think that this ticket was the total points?
I'm gonna close the current sprint if everyone is okay with that.
Yeah, please.
So we finished 23 points.
Okay.
22. One is unassigned. One get assigned points after we pull it into the sprint, I think.
And I think we also need to remove the
On hold.
that one that little bit more design for the UI resolution for that one. Remove that one. Yeah.
Can you be faster now?
Mm.
Okay.
Okay. Mm.
Go to backlog.
Okay.
Cool.
So the first one is 232. Swetha, how many points do you think you spent on this ticket?
I think it was an 8, Dana.
Is it 8?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, the next one is 271. I'm sorry, it's 274. Oncology dysphagia form not saving as complete, and then we clarified that actually is on this line. I think just to remove the require field. That's it. The require. That's it. For this ticket. So it's a 1 point. Yeah, 1 point. Okay, it's gonna be 1 point for this one. Anyone disagree? Is a 1 point. I think this is just removed or something very simple.
I agree.
And then this one is change all mUzima form download providers. Because there's some code change to 231 download provider list to local repo, and then this need to apply to all forms across. And how many points, everyone? Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, so 5. The next one is 272. Is very similar because the download location leads to local repo, and this need to apply to all forms as well. So would that be 5 as well?
I think so.
Okay.
Unless anyone objects.
This one is resolving the conflict between REST web services and mUzima registration module. Simon, do you want to just give us a brief description of this ticket?
Yeah. This is the conflict that was discovered, I think, when dealing with the REST web services module. If you post encounters, there is some way our module intercepts to when it's to search for a patient, because the implementation on our module is meant to search for a patient in that temporary data that Win has been showing us. So so therefore, when it intercepts, it makes the processing of encounters, which is not meant to be mUzima's, a failure. So Win gave us a solution, which I think is documented on the ticket. It will involve implementing a new object that will extend patient, and then changing that delegate include resource instead of implementing for patient, it would implement for the new object that we shall define. So I don't know whether that's enough information for voting.
Anyone have questions before voting on the points? Okay, let's do it. 1, 2, 3, go. Five and 3, you guys can resolve that. 5 as a 3 or 5. So a 3 or 5?
I think Win knows exactly how much work will go into this. Maybe Win could advise.
So Win, you want a 3 or 5? Do you know more?
I think it's fine if we go to 3.
Okay.
It's probably not complicated, but it could be complicated one.
The last one is the 275 change location ID for oncology form. So there is just like incorrect information on the location for one of the location, and then need to be updated for the via dysphagia histopathology and plasmid forms. Simon, do you know anything whether it's been done or what's the status on this one?
Yeah, this one has been done. It's what it means is for the users to confirm actually it behaves the way they wanted. So the amount of work that went into this was to identify what is the problem, because I think they were filling encounters, and when checking the encounters, they found they were filled against the wrong location. So they were wondering what's the problem. So the work was to find out the problem was actually the location ID, and then to update, I think, about 4 or 5 forms.
So how many points for this one, Simon?
I think 2 points.
Okay. Okay, cool. I think that is it for. I think we have all points assigned. Let's just make sure. Okay, I think that is it. So we start.
Yay!
Okay. Awesome. I think that is it. Unless you anyone have any other comments or questions before we say bye. Let's go.
I had a question. When I was giving my feedback on the dispensary form, I think I forgot. There's some question I raised on the ticket about capturing the date when an observation was taken. That's the lab results. So it lacks a concept ID, and from the discussion, we said we shall use the OBS date time.
Uh-huh.
However, I think currently the processor does not cannot process this kind of data. So I wanted to maybe just look into how possibly this could be implemented. Maybe if you
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I think let me look on the example. I think we did it before. So let me look at the example and then post it on the dispensary form ticket. Will that work?
Yeah, that would work.
Okay, cool. I'll do that. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
Uh,
Bye.
yeah, just
Bye.